Committee to order. Pardon me while I pull up the agenda for the Personnel Committee. All right, roll call please.
McGee, Steiner,
Here.
Rapp,
Here.
Rose,
Here.
Dorna, Sly. Here.
Very good. Citizens Forum,
Roll agenda.
I'm sorry, approval of agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, Citizens Forum. Any citizen like to speak before the Personnel Committee? Seeing none, we'll close Citizen Forum and move on to item 4. Clerk Treasurer job description. Who is our point person on this agenda item? I'm assuming Peggy. All right, Peggy, go ahead. Can you walk us through what's the...
Okay. What I'm looking for is direction here. In the midst of everything that's been going on at the city, I've been directed to do things that were not in the best interest of the city. Some of the examples have just been with our Wisconsin retirement, vacation issues, COBRA, and HIPAA issues. And the chance that similar directives are given to me again that I am confident are not in the best interest of the city, what do you want me to do? Follow the directive or do what is right? That seems like a simple question, but it's going to lead to something else. I would assume I should be doing what's in the best interest of the city. That's following my treasurer's creed, being a treasurer for a government. What I need to inform you of is in one of the instances where I did follow what was right for the city and I followed legal and proper procedure, I received an email that if I continue to go back and forth, this will become a disciplinary item for insubordination against me. So I need to know what to do.
Greg?
Well, I know that we have codes of ethics that we follow, and if the directive that is given to you is in violation of a code of ethics, then that needs to be looked at by the Personnel Committee, because the Personnel Committee is the Ethics Board, correct? I believe those are one and the same. And so I would say that the direction needs to be made to us if there's something in question that you are being asked to do, that that it comes to us first before any action is taken. I understand that you have a chain of command, and if your superior person is directing you to do something that is a violation of ethics, then you're kind of caught in that bind of, are you going to jump above that person and come to personnel directly? And I think in that case you should, because you're following those codes of ethics, and I believe that takes a higher power than what somebody above you tells you what to do.
Key?
Well, what if the person above her won't call the meeting? Just saying. Then how is it handled?
So Peggy, you have...
That is what occurred. I did try following the proper chain of command. I did ask what my directive was, and I was denied a personnel meeting.
Committee? Mark?
So this is certainly a unique situation where we have the mayor is absent in this situation, and I don't think it would be inappropriate for Peggy to contact a committee member and have that committee member call the meeting. Would be is it no different than a committee member asking for a council member asking for a council meeting? Is that, I don't know if I'm in the right there or not. It's not, I guess, it's not about Peggy, it's true of any department head in this situation, I would think. Except for maybe the chiefs, which would answer to those fire commission issues.
So I understand where you're coming from on that, Mark, and I guess we'd have to go back and review our municipal code as to see what that says as far as who can call the meetings, and if that is not written that way, then it would have to be modified in these kind of circumstances, which are certainly, I mean, we're treading on turf that has not been walked on before, and so this certainly was not thought out back when those procedures were put in place, and it just shows how far off track things have gone, and how far we have to go to get back to where we need to be. And it's really sad that we've gotten to this point, but I'm happy to see that we are at a point now where Peggy can feel that she can come forward and we can get these matters addressed properly. So while it's very unfortunate that she has had to deal with this for so long, we are at least at a time and place now where we can address it.
Beth?
Well, I just wanted to clarify, and particularly for the citizens as well, I'm not a member of the Personnel Committee, but the chairman of the Personnel Committee is Mayor Judy McGee. And as you know, she's on a self-proclaimed leave of absence due to her mental health. And so that means Bill has been asked tonight to take the position by the acting mayor, which would be Jeannie. But if we tell Peggy would follow the normal procedure, which would be to go to ask for a meeting of the Personnel Committee. She did that, she was denied the meeting. Now, any three members of the council can request a meeting of the council, but we don't know that, I see April's thumbing through stuff. I don't think there's anything there about calling committee meetings, that anybody else can call a committee meeting, but I agree with Greg that I think if this happens to, any employee and they're thwarted on something like this, they would go to a member of the committee. And the other thing, I was thinking that maybe they could go, how could they go to the president of the council?
And so, well, Jim, Mark, Gloria.
Well, I feel that ethics trumps all other, things that are going on. Now, people are wrong on many occasions, and I really don't think that we can rely on the personal judgment of one person who is not a professional to come up with the answers. And I really do believe that you have to have a code of ethics and follow them strictly. And I think Peggy is very much aware of what all these ethic issues are. And I think she should have the right to call for a meeting of the Personnel Committee and ask for advice. If she's given an order to do something or not to do something, that's wrong. Because it's quite obvious Peggy knows exactly what she's doing all the time. So I really think that this should not be something that is left to one person, whether it's the mayor, an acting mayor, or whomever, to just make a decision and tell Peggy what to do. And if Peggy knows it's wrong, she should just say, no, I have to refer it back to personnel.
Let me be clear, when I said before, I'm talking about department heads. If there is a employee that is not following direction of a department head, there should be a chain of progress already. If there's an officer that is not following Terry's direction, that officer should not be coming right personnel. And that was implied, I don't know if it was meant. I do not want this committee or the person or our council to be micromanaging the employees. We need to follow the chain of command within the department. We have policies and ethics, as Jim said, that need to be followed, but I don't want to micromanage. Let's let the department heads do their job. If the department heads have a problem and then the committee meeting will not fault, then yes, they could talk to a member, or again, the administration to get that meeting called. Absolutely.
Gloria?
Well, I guess, and I kind of, here I see that Judy is the Personnel Committee Chair. Is it always the mayor that's the person? No, it's, okay, yeah, I mean, I'm just curious, I couldn't remember offhand. I guess, yeah, I would like it where they would feel comfortable at least to go to another, another committee, a committee member, I think is fair. And she should have been able to go to a committee member, and then that committee member should have been able to say, no, we have to get a meeting in order. I know that there was some difficulties with getting meetings called, because there would just be, and it wasn't, Peggy wasn't the only one, I think there was some of us also that weren't getting meetings if we were asking to have a meeting. It was falling on deaf ears. And I guess it's important that if there's a code of ethics and the code of ethics is being broke, or if, in Peggy's case, they were telling her to do something that was probably maybe a little, and Peggy had questions about it. Absolutely, Peggy, you do what you feel is right for the city at all costs, and that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, you got kind of caught in a bad spot, and I feel bad.
This is a good discussion coming out of this. Is there a motion or a specific approach we want to effort, either with the help of staff or however, from the committee? Greg?
Not quite ready to make that motion, but because I don't have our municipal code in front of me, so I can't see exactly how it's written. But we do need to take a look at that and redefine it so that we don't wind up in this situation again where we have a lot of authority all vested in one person, and that person can use it in ways that are unethical to thwart the proper ethics of employees. So we need to review that. We need to look at our code. April, I don't know what exactly it reads right now, but we need to modify it so that there's a loophole or something in there where under certain criteria is met that other people could call the meeting.
Katie, you had something?
Well, yeah, but, there's an email that you received. At what authority does someone have to do that? To demand this be done when, in full well, they probably know it's wrong as well.
Mary Beth?
But does it have to go to the Safety and Ordinance Committee? But in the meantime, could the committee advise, we need to help Peggy right now in case this comes up again, until the Safety and Ordinance Committee acts on, takes care of this, that she has the council's permission to go to any member of the Personnel Committee? And I just wondered if we protected us, because it takes a while for Safety and
Peggy?
Ordinance to process.
Peggy, did you have something? I'm sorry.
I'm just going to be quite honest, I probably didn't even look at the municipal code. I went to my employee handbook. Would that be one quicker way to handle it?
Okay. And
Review that section of it. Perhaps don't wait until the employee handbook gets updated, because this has been ongoing, but maybe if this could be updated quicker, then staff as a whole would have the right to go.
At the last safety and ordinance meeting, that was a topic that came up, was the grievance procedures and how they were handled with Act 10 and how that related to our employee handbook, and that was a bit out of date and maybe unclear, so that's under revision right now. So I don't know if that helps what direction you're thinking of going, but Peggy mentioned that, as the employee handbook is updated, this will be updated as well with that. Our grievance procedures for the city will be updated.
Mary Beth?
So this action that Peggy was forced to do, is that anything that's reversible? First of all, I want to have, so that's an assurance for her tonight that she, until the handbook gets revised, she has permission to come to a member of any committee, depending on which committee is governing what the action is. But is there anything about the action that was done that was not in the best interest of the city? Is there any way that could be reversed?
I need to state, I did not do it. I stood my ground, which is what led to the comment.
Oh, thank you.
I had the state backing me. I had reference materials available. So the actions were not done.
But you know, when this happens to her, how long ago was this?
September.
Why should she have to wait until halfway through October to get this, you know what I mean, to bring this to our attention? It's like, I don't know what's going on, but it isn't right.
If I may, it sounds like, I'm sorry, Amy?
I'm not on
Sorry,
the,
Ann, come up
yeah,
there.
I'm not on the committee either,
Of course, go ahead.
but I'm concerned that this was sent as an email. Usually, if you are going to have a correction or a little conference with an employee, you usually do it face-to-face and you give them an opportunity to, and Peggy, I am not saying you were wrong or anything, but to adjust their attitude or to make corrections and make the corrections to, say, their job or whatever it is that you are having issue with. And we just allow emails to be sent saying you will be insubordinate if you continue this. I kind of think that's wrong.
Peggy?
And I'm sorry, you guys can continue talking. There's more to this. When I received this email, it was more in the roundabout way acknowledging that I was correct on one of these issues. But then it was saying, you don't follow my next directive, you will be disciplined for insubordination. And it's not a threat. I don't want to go there, you guys. I just need something for myself, for other staff. You know, if it's going to be handled with the employee handbook, we can go on. I just need to know there's going to be a resolution shortly for this.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna just defer to a member first, then we'll circle back around. Greg?
So yes, I hope that we can come to a solution on this. And Peggy, I would love to see that, that people are held accountable for this sort of behavior, because this is not and should not ever be allowable. And while the individual is not here to defend themselves about this action, we as a council have been battling with this kind of behavior for quite some time now and are growing very tired. We need to look at other solutions, other options, so that this does not continue in the future. I know that we have codes of ethics that we are following as elected officials, as should that person. And if they don't follow it, there needs to be some kind of follow-up repercussion on that person, because this is intolerable.
Amy, you had your hand up before too?
Well, I was just gonna say again, okay, so Peggy was kind of told, yes, you were correct, but this was still all being done in an email. I have an issue with that. I really think it should be face-to-face, so that she has an opportunity to respond. I mean, I think we've all been in the working world long enough that you have a sit-down with your supervisor. You both leave that sit-down well aware of what has taken place, and you can't read into any innuendos, because you can't read into an email what the tone was of that email. I mean, it could be a very innocent email, but I could be having a bad day and take it that Phil's really pissed off at me. And he didn't mean that way at all. I just have a real issue that this was all done via an email. It should have been a face-to-face. And I know I'm not on the committee, so thank you, sir, for letting me speak.
Mary Beth?
I'm not on the committee, but this is just one of many examples of things that have happened. And unfortunately, we have checked before, things have happened, and the answer we've gotten from this person is, I made a mistake, I lied, I was wrong. You know, but I mean, when someone tells me, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, I forgot, I lied, those are the answers we've gotten. And so I did check into it with the League of Municipalities, and the only thing that can happen with an elected official, and that includes any one of us, you can be recalled after 1 year of office, or the council, this body has the authority, on a vote of 8 to 10, to reprimand
This isn't the topic.
an elected official.
We're off the topic.
We're listening, are we prepared for a motion on the specific?
Can't we discuss it?
But that's not the topic, that's not the topic on the thing, clearly it's about the job description, and you've wandered way past that. Greg?
I would like to make a motion that we direct the personnel committee in a future meeting to look at our employee handbook and make the adjustments necessary to the clerk treasurer job description to account for this sort of situation.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion has been first and seconded, additional discussion. April?
I just want to ask who would be doing that, number one, and secondly, or would it require any drafting or additions to, policies and codes? And are you changing the job description, or are you changing the chain of command as a part of the job description?
As part of my motion, I guess, it's hard for me to phrase that all in there without having read her job description or have it in front of me. So that's a tough one. I don't know how to modify my motion to take care of that.
Peggy, do you have something?
Job descriptions, if I'm correct, are not covered in the employee handbook. The area I did go to the employee handbook was the chain of command and the grievance area. Those are the two areas that are in the employee handbook that could have assisted me here.
Thank you for the clarification on that. I will modify my motion
I'll modify my second.
to direct the personnel committee at a future meeting to look into the chain of command as written in the employee handbook and modify that as necessary to account for the clerk treasurer's situation.
I'm just curious about the job description that you do have, Peggy. Do you have a job description?
Yes.
Okay. But it doesn't say anything about, I mean, I know you're sworn.
I don't have it right now.
Oh, yeah, and I know maybe it would be nice for all of us to have a copy of it, just so we can read it. Just, because I know you have
And
to
it's
take
probably
it over.
not just me, it's probably all staff.
Oh.
I mean, realistically, this is a side thing
Mhm.
for other things.
Any other discussion on the motion? Gloria?
I want to know, are we doing anything to help her right now? I mean, someone could come back tomorrow and it could be all hell could break loose. And are you wanting something more sooner than later? Kind of, well, be honest.
If I picked up the right tone here, Amy, I feel I have the support that if something came up, I would be very comfortable making sure I got it addressed.
You would come to council or personnel and you would be,
I would handle it, yes.
okay, thank you. I just want to make sure you're feeling good.
Any other discussion on the motion?
Can you restate the motion before we, just so I know what it was amended to?
I'm hoping you can, Peggy. I did not take it down.
Direct the personnel to look at the employee handbook and make necessary changes to the chain of command area.
And the grievance
And
too?
the grievance,
Chain of command and grievance.
And grievance,
yeah.
yes.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, call a vote. Roll call, please.
Steiner?
Yes.
Rath?
Yes.
Bose?
Yes.
Dornick?
Yes.
Schley?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 5, review of vacation policy.
Requested this and I've never received it. And the employees it affects, we really need to know the policies. One of the persons has actually taken vacation. We just want to make sure we're not doing anything improper. Some of the people that were here less than, weren't receiving 3 weeks of pay, received an additional week of pay. I was told that there's a new vacation policy, that it was printed out and I've never received anything. So we just need to, we would like the documentation, because the minutes just say approval of the vacation policy.
I can find it at home.
So that's what we're requesting, just if we can get it, and we can put it in our records and eventually get incorporated into the employee handbook.
So do we need a formal action as a motion there, or is that something, Jeannie, you think?
Find it.
If Jeannie, you can find,
Yeah, I've got a copy somewhere in my trunk.
Jeannie, if you could find it, I mean, I can tell you what it looks like.
I remember it too.
Would it have been in a packet? Because I have all those digitally.
We didn't hand it back in, did we?
No.
Okay. Well, then I,
Some may have.
oh, April has a copy of it?
And then perhaps put it on the next agenda, just to make
Just
sure.
have it, I don't think we need a motion, we can get a copy of that too.
Get it on the
I would
next
just put it on the
agenda,
next agenda so everyone says that's what you see. I mean, if you want to,
on the next regular council.
unless you're comfortable, whatever you guys want.
You approved it, council?
Well, if it's already approved, I mean, we could certainly review it, but if it's
Okay.
approved, it's has the full force of.
We need to get the information.
I would suggest that you review it to confirm what I have written down on my notes matches what you remember happening, because a lot of things happen. To make sure that if it's my document we use, that confirm that the notes on it are correct from that evening. So a review would be,
So can we add that to the next stage?
Regular council meeting? Will that be soon, will that be okay?
Yeah, that's,
Okay,
We need a motion to accommodate that, or is that just a procedural?
that's just procedure to put it on.
Good. Moving on, speaking of procedure, payroll procedure item 6. Do we have any background on this item?
yes, I don't want to go, Jeannie had asked at the last meeting information on this. And I guess, I don't know what to say, I'm just going to read what I have written here. And in order to maintain my professionalism, I'm hoping we don't need to go into details on this issue. It was regarding a payroll procedure. City Hall followed proper procedures, proper and legal procedures, and there was a request being made for something to be redone. It has not been done, and I guess we're just at the point that we're hoping the request is dropped permanently. This kind of falls under the other issue. If I'm going to be confident that if we did something proper and legal, that you would stand behind my office to say this does not, actions do not have to be taken, which would burden our office going forward. We did a job properly.
Greg?
So Peggy, you're not looking for motion, you're just looking for reassurance from us?
Well, with the result I got from number 4, I don't think we need to go into number 6.
All right, well then,
Because you guys stated if I'm doing things in the best interest of the city, what's right for the city, following legal and procedures, we're fine.
Mary Beth?
I would say, she said that they're trusting, she's trusting that it won't come up again. I just had to say if it comes up again, she doesn't need to bring it to your personnel.
Very good. Item 7, mayoral authorization duties and procedure during leave of absence. Who has the point on this item?
Yeah, I do.
Someone had requested it beyond, so
Beth does, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the one that you said never got put on the agenda.
No, the one that I had that was on the agenda was, that was the last line on mine said an action, and it was mayoral action in it. Oh, I'm sorry, I go back, okay, during the leave of absence, I guess I had attempted to talk about this, maybe because I attempted to talk about this before, and we said we couldn't talk about it. So I was questioning why the mayor was still issuing proclamations and attending meetings as the mayor, when the fact that she's on the leave of absence and the acting mayor should be doing that, and it's continuing again today. So in other words, I'm just asking, if this is the personnel committee, who I guess is the only one that has anything to say over personnel. So the mayor said she's on leave of absence from all of her duties, and yet she's continuing to issue proclamations and attend meetings as the mayor and really, I guess, pick and choose official duties and get paid. Does everybody think that's okay?
Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm lost with it, I'll tell you that, because I come down here and work. The girls know I'm down here, but I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I was invited to a thing today for, but I wasn't, the mayor was there, so, and I don't know.
So did she?
I don't know if I'm the acting mayor or not, I guess. But I didn't have this put on because I'm really confused with the whole thing.
Greg? I think that since Mayor McGee has chosen to make a leave of absence, that she has chosen therefore to abscond from all of her duties, and if she is in some kind of a mindset that she believes she still is doing those actions, then she needs to be put in her place. And it sounds rough and it sounds harsh, but you know, you can't have it both ways. And I guess we need to direct her to stop doing that sort of behavior, and if she continues to do it, that it would be another ethics violation of hers. That I mean, we just got a tally going, it's getting longer and longer, and I guess that this would fall under those ethical guidelines that we are expected of as elected officials, and by doing the sort of behavior she's doing is a violation of those ethics. Just one more.
I would just say, maybe there's an opportunity to have our attorney weigh in and put together what, this is clearly uncharted territory, and maybe we should take the opportunity to chart it and to say, from our legal perspective, this is what we feel as though is the role of the mayor when she's in absentia. And this is the role of the acting mayor, and we see that as the rules of the road from between now and such time as the mayor would return. And we, because we, all of our opinions, I think, are valid. Whatever is the force of law, we have to respect. And April, you'd be the one to help us navigate that and help us shape some guidelines that we could agree to and then present to the mayor, if that's the will of the committee. Gloria?
Okay, and this might sound, but this is just kind of crazy. I mean, if you say you're taking a leave of absence, but yet it's fine for the stand-in to kind of do all the dirty work and do all, because, I mean, Jeannie came in as our fill-in mayor, and within a week, she had someone sitting in that chair, basically a week and a half, somebody sitting in that chair. Judy had that order, the mayor had that order from September 9th. I believe that's when we had the meeting, and she basically sat on her laurels and did not do what the council had asked her to do. Jeannie came in and it's like, okay, now push is coming to shove. We've got to get someone in place. But yet when anything comes, I looked on her Facebook page, she's advertising to pick up leaves and the office of Mayor Judy McGee, and it's like, but she's not, right now she's not the acting mayor. She is just Judy McGee right now. She's not Mayor McGee because she chose to take a leave of absence. And I guess if you can, how better of a way to do it, you get to do all the fun stuff, but all the dirty work someone else has to do and all the paperwork and all the headache stuff to do, and then I get to go cut a ribbon or I get to go do this or that. I guess I do have I know I'm not on this committee, but I've got a real problem with what's going on, and it kind of makes us look like a bunch of buffoons and not the council.
Mary Beth?
Since I did put this item on. The reason I did, I had talked to April before, Ms. Demling before, about could she write a letter and inform the mayor of this, and obviously that's not for me to direct her to do, but it would be, that's why I brought it up. But it seems like we could direct her at this point, as I tried to say before, is the only way anything can be done to discipline the mayor or any communication means this council would have to vote 8 to 10, like for us to have April write a letter. It has to come from the council. This council has the right, you know, that's how it has to be. Otherwise, she's an elected official, it's not an employee, so it's treated differently. So I would suggest to the committee that, you know, if you would recommend to the council that the city attorney write and inform her that since she has taken a leave of absence, she is not to perform official duties until she's, and then I was just wondering about the coming back. You know, she said, I'll come back no later than November 26th, and I knew that was the date we were going to post the budget, but I guess, you know, I guess that doesn't seem like something, if you say I have a medical leave because of my mental condition, but I'll be better no later than November 26th, I think that needs to be addressed, because otherwise at any time, you know, she could come back and we have no assurance that she's okay to come back.
Phil?
I just, going back to her letter, did it state for health reasons? I don't remember.
Mental health.
Mental health or health?
Mental health.
I guess that, to me, it would be in her best interest to take a leave of absence, just continue any marital life.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Does the committee have a motion or specific direction? Craig?
I would recommend that the committee direct our city attorney to write a letter to Judy McGee to consider continuing her leave of absence for an undefined date, and just to keep it open-ended because it's needed.
Don't forget about the collective
And to cease and desist from all mayoral duties. Sorry about that.
Second to the motion?
Oh, I'll second it.
Motion's been made, seconded, discussion?
Well, it would seem to me that if that were going to be the case, if a person tells me that they are on a leave of absence for a mental condition, that before they return to work, they've got to come forward with some kind of a psychiatric examination report saying you are stable of mind, that you can come back and perform your job. If she had used any other excuse, like a broken leg or something, that's one thing. But when you say mental, that's something different.
Peggy?
We are going into a HIPAA area. Doctors know it's only release you from work and bring you back to work. The employer is not allowed, is not required, or can they ask the reason?
No, but we did have her.
And I would offer also, it seems like we have two related but important issues. One is, what is the legal terrain that we're on? These are all reasonable responses to a very unique situation. However, what are our legal obligations, options? So I would offer a friendly amendment to everything Greg said to say, I would like to see a brief on the legality of the situation. I mean, what is the scope of the power of the council of Jeannie as she's serving as acting mayor? What is the force of any actions the mayor has during this leave of absence? I mean, she goes down to the Lions Club and does a proclamation. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but that's one thing. But the mayor does have the ability to sign contracts and other things. You know, I don't understand our legal footing, aside from the moral objections to her approach. April.
I can only briefly address that because there's very few either legal opinions, there's very few rules on what happens when the mayor takes a leave of absence, because it doesn't really happen. But I can tell you, what is very specific is when the mayor is absent from her duties, the acting mayor steps up and has the mayor's full duties. So you can't have two mayors, so if the first original mayor is not acting, then the acting mayor has all the duties of the mayor. Their title remains acting mayor, because the mayor is still the mayor, even though they're not doing the duties, but that's really as far as the legal area goes, because there's not a whole lot out there, because it is a rarity that this happens.
Right. So then my question to you, April, would be, all of her proclamations and any actions that she took, do they hold water, or are they for naught and just a waste of time?
Well, that is a very interesting question, because if you're not acting in that position as mayor during a leave of absence, then it stands to reason that all your actions as mayor are void. There.
So that, to just close that argument, I guess then we need to, I guess, come to grips with the fact that what she's doing is irrelevant. And if she enjoys being mayor, because I think she does enjoy the title, when she finally comes to realize that what she's doing is irrelevant, perhaps she'll stop. But if we continue to allow her to give it meaning, then she'll continue to do it.
So if Judy goes down there today invited as acting mayor, and she gets there and the mayor steps in front of her, that's a waste of Jeannie's time. You know, so it isn't, I don't think it is irrelevant, because I think, and as we said, there could be, as Bill just said, she has the power, she has the mayor can sign contracts and so forth. So, you know, we may have to like go back and undo things, but I think, you know, the motion that you made was to instruct April to inform her that she is the acting mayor, and then you did add on there that we would like to know, you know, when just a definite time. Now, Peggy said we can't want to know what was the matter, but
They don't take a leave of absence. They resign for the good of the community.
Mark?
I'm unclear what is in the motion. There was a suggested amendment. And then there's what I thought I heard Greg say, and then Mary Beth rephrased it in something that I didn't think was even close.
Peggy, would you be so kind?
Motion by Rose, second by Schley, to direct the city attorney to write a letter to Mayor McGee to consider continuing her leave of absence for an undetermined date, and to cease and desist from all mayoral duties.
And so that is much different than what I heard repeated by Mary Beth, but that's what I would agree with on Greg, unless it's been changed by a friendly amendment, which I didn't hear. So.
Just a quickie. Are we going to send her registered mail? Because, you know, she won't get it.
We'll put that in Attorney Dunleavy's capable hands. Greg?
I would like to make a friendly amendment to acknowledge what Bill has added, which I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, but basically to task Ms. Dunleavy with looking at the legal follow-up to this and provide us with some perspective on those duties.
If that's a friendly amendment, with the second.
Yeah, Jeannie had the second. All right.
So are you adding that or changing the motion?
Adding.
Okay.
Attorney Dunleavy.
I just wanted to give Greg some words. What Bill had said was a brief on the legality of the situation and the roles of an acting mayor.
Yep. I didn't remember exactly how he phrased it, so yes, that is what I was thinking.
Any other discussion on the amended motion? Hearing no discussion, roll call, please.
Rath?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Dornick?
Yes.
Schley? Yes. Reinhardt?
Yes. All right, item 8, financial institution authorization.
We currently have at the banks, we have 3 signatures on our signature staff at the bank, and we have 5 people that are authorized to be on the accounts. in light of having an interim city administrator and Mandy is going to be leaving, the 3 signatures are myself, Mary, and Judy, Mayor McGee. When the mayor did go on leave, I had contacted the state just regarding things that this would affect for me, and they had suggested sending a letter to get permission for, from the mayor to continue using her signature. So I do have that permission. As a safety though, I don't know if we want to add somebody else's signature on there, or if I did contact one of our banks and they are quite certain we can go down to 2 signatures required. So I am requesting personnel to make a recommendation whether they would like us at the bank to go with 2, and we would only do this if necessary, if something happened that somebody dropped off. So we could either go to 2 signatures, or you could authorize us to add another employee as authorized signers.
Greg?
So the other employee that you're kind of floating out there as an option would be our city, or our interim city administrator while he's here?
I didn't say that. No, that would be up to you guys who you chose. I didn't know if you want a permanent one. I had no recommendation there. My request is either to go down to 2 or to place another person, a 4th person on there.
Mark?
So currently the signatures, the clerk treasurer, the assistant clerk treasurer, and the mayor?
Correct.
I got the titles correctly?
Yeah. Yep.
Follow up on that, then I guess I'd be okay with, if we're okay legally with 2, to go with the clerk treasurer and the treasurer as a recommendation. I don't know unless someone feels differently to add one, but that's up for discussion.
Well, her concern was that Mandy's going to be leaving, I think.
She's not one of the 3.
She's not
Oh,
one of the
I'm
3.
sorry.
Greg, sorry.
So this would be one of those places where the acting mayor could possibly fill in one of those things. And so one of the things we need to consider here as a committee is this could possibly be something that we could delegate to Jeannie to be the 3rd person.
If I may, Peggy, what problem are we solving by making this change?
What were to happen if one of the 3 of us left the city, we would not have the 3 authorized signers to issue any checks.
So you would need all 3 signatures concurrently to
Oh.
authorize a check?
Correct. So if I left tomorrow, I could say you naturally can't use me. So you could either go down to 2, or you could go pick another person. When Lisa and Mandy were added, that was also, they're able to call into the banks, they have authorization to do transfers, to do wire transfers, things like that.
Well, I would think that under the circumstances where Jeannie is acting as fill-in mayor, that we could just add her name to it and take over the duties that Judy had, and that would solve the problem.
But
Go ahead.
once we do this, there's a lot of paperwork for all the banks involved in this. So what you like to do is have a somewhat steady area. So if you're saying we're going to leave Jeannie out, if you're talking the president of the council, you'd want to state it's going to be the president of the council, and then every year that could change.
Jim, Bob?
Okay, well, I guess what I was concerned about, we just had a motion here to direct the city attorney to send a letter to Judy to cease and desist all actions as mayor, and that Jeannie would be doing it. Well, this would be an action as mayor, and we're recognizing her as, mayor. That don't make a lot of sense.
Does the committee have a recommendation at this point? Mark, you had spoken one, but it wasn't in the form of a motion. Would you like to? Jeannie?
Well, being that Mayor McGee is on just a leave of absence, and they have written permission to use her stamp, because that's what it is, a stamp. They have written permission because they were in Madison or wherever you called, because I also called down, and they says, you have to have written permission to use that, is when I call the League of Municipalities, because they're showing me the stack of checks to sign. And it's like, oh, that'd take me days. I'd be off work for a long time. As long as we have authorization to use the stamp, I just don't see why we don't. Because supposedly she's coming back. I could see if she's leaving, you know, resigning or whatever, that would be another story, but I don't know. It's a whole new ballgame.
Does the committee have a problem with bringing it down to 2? Which would be the clerk and the clerk treasurer and the assistant clerk treasurer.
Only when needed, are you?
Well,
I mean, put that right in there because.
only when needed, that's fine. I mean, we gotta remember, as a council, we need to get business done day to day, which we normally don't do, but they do.
Yeah.
And so we need to make sure we can still get business done, and it's done in the right manners, read legally with the right stamps, and not, I wouldn't say as badly, but not get in the way.
Well, I would jump in here quick and then Greg. But if we've got a situation where this may be all moot in 30 days, from the standpoint of the mayor's situation, is this something that now we're aware of the challenge, the potential challenge? Right now, as long as we've got permission to use a stamp, like Jean said, it's status quo from the standpoint of clerical work, and revisit this in 30 days as a personnel committee to see what's changed. Greg?
I would make a motion that we allow the signatures to go down to 2 on those special conditions, those special circumstances.
Is there a second? Mark, is that your second, or are you it? All right, then we'll go right to discussion. There were a bunch of hands up, I apologize here. We'll defer to the committee and then add on. So, Mark?
Would you consider adding to the motion a time frame so that it could go back to 3, maybe say December 31st of 2014? Just to put that a little
Till the end of
closed
the
in,
year.
not open-ended, but then the idea that it would revert back is
Good point.
considering a month after the mayor's projected return date. And returns us to, I think there's a reason why we have 3 stamps, and it returns us back towards that situation.
I agree. I will make a friendly amendment to my motion that we'll authorize to go down to 2 signatures if needed with a revisit or with a closing date of December 31st of 2014.
Any other committee input before? Okay, Mary Beth?
I just wanted to reiterate what Jim said. We just directed the city attorney to say that the mayor will not be acting officially, and just, even though we're using her name is on official documents, and yet we just made a statement. So even though she isn't signing it, I just think it's much cleaner to not have her doing this during this period, because it contradicts what we said.
Very good. Any other discussion? Amy?
I just had a question. The accounts say 3 signatures required, correct?
Correct.
Is that on the checks too? 3 signatures required?
No.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll call roll.
Rose,
Yes.
Dornick,
Yes.
Schley,
Yes.
Steiner,
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Item 9, review of overtime policies. Who has pointed on this?
Chairman, in going through all the budget stuff, I came across at least 4 different overtime policies that we appear to have in our city. One through contract with the police union, which will stay intact. One from a previous, it doesn't matter where they came from, 2 other contracts previously, and then our personal handbook. And they're all slightly different. In discussion with staff about finances, and perhaps in future finance meetings, we will direct to say to limit or greatly reduce the need for overtime. We can discuss that. We need to define what overtime is. And they vary from working anything excess of 8 hours in one day. And then it might say, as this one says, employees shall be paid at time and 1/2 rate for all hours working in excess of 8 hours per day and for all hours worked outside the normal employee work schedule. Another one does mention 40 hours, except for, there are special exceptions. One example would be in the police contract, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, the full-time is 37.6.
Because they work at 6 on 3 off.
Thank you.
They're always figured out to 37.44.
3745, yeah, I think they're just on it here. So we need to, I think, tighten that policy, or at least have one. It probably should just, given that these policies were in place prior to unions going away for at least for utility, dispatch, office, park and rec, and street. They use street because they didn't have a union, they had a bargaining group, if that's the right term. I think we need to combine these policies to the handbook and clearly state what they are.
Craig? Mark, are you looking to have that all decided tonight, or can we get copies of what you see on your screen for another meeting?
Yes, I didn't want to disseminate this without having a discussion first, because the rumors already got ahead of me and said we're getting rid of overtime. I think we need to get a handle on what overtime is defined as first, and be clear on that. If we direct staff to limit overtime through finance side of things, at least we have it defined first. So yes, I will send this out to needed, and I think over the policy, I could suggest one and a future meeting if we want.
If I may, maybe this is something we could task Chuck with, to collaborate with Attorney Dunleavy to make sure that we're hitting all appropriate labor law, and come back with a draft policy for the committee's review that takes into account the specifics of each of the 4 policies and gets us into a unified approach to recognizing overtime for non-union employees.
Chairman and Madam Mayor, I did have a prior commitment, so
By all
I need
means.
to leave.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I thought you were leaving.
Well,
I lost track of time.
so did I.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
No reason to apologize. Thank you.
Yeah.
Greg, I'm sorry, Mark.
Oh, no, Greg, go ahead.
I was just going to put that into a motion, basically, what you said. Go ahead.
You can go ahead and say it, that's fine.
So I would entertain a motion to direct Attorney Dunleavy and, just one more thing for you on your to-do list, and our interim, Chuck Kell, to look into matters of overtime pay and to develop a draft for a future personnel meeting.
Second? Motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion? Yes, sir.
No, in the wintertime, there shouldn't be no overtime. You should have to work, if you have it paid 8 hours a day, and they work, say, 2 over, that'd be 10. I don't think you have to have that. I think it's anything over 40. Because how are you going to direct that if today they worked that 2 hours overtime, so they get paid for it automatically, and tomorrow you don't only have work 4, which is wrong. I think it should be 40. Because in the wintertime, I worked construction all my life, there was no overtime. If you worked overtime, it was on your own. I'm not picking against the city workers. We were there to make a living, and they're here to make a living. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mark?
Yeah, I'll take an attempt and help, at least I'll put together a draft, I'll send it to these two, what I think, and it's always open for discussion in this committee, of course, by council for approval. That's, at least
Gloria?
I just got a quickie. I'm kind of leaning towards the 40 hours a week. I know that's how we do it. I think you can keep a handle on overtime much better when you have it as 40 hours a week, not hours a day. Because some days, one day I might work 12, 14 hours straight. The next, I'll work 2. And where I work, it's a nonprofit, and they clamp down on everything as far as money, and I think the 40-hour, and they watch overtime very closely. You know, we have to have a really good reason if we are going into overtime. And like I said, 40 hours I think is much more fair, because you could have actually going on with that 8-hour day.
Certainly, Mark.
Just as in discussion previous to this, there are some overtime that is needed when a storm event happens and we need to have utility workers come in because we need the lights back on. And then Sunday, we're not going to wait till Monday morning. So the justification for the overtime, and again, just to maybe go against a little bit what John said, we do need some. If the lift station goes out, we've got to have that fixed. If we have a water alarm, there's some times when we have to have it. So the question of when we do the overtime is a different topic than just, my purpose was to first describe what it is for the committee.
Any other discussion?
Or Mark's reply there, some places start out, if you got a contract or something, it's overtime on Sunday. A lot of places you start, that is the beginning of the week, Sunday.
Any other discussion? Well, others will move to a vote. If we could restate the motion and then let's go to roll call, please.
Motion by Rose, second by Rath, to direct Attorney Dunleavy and City Administrator Cowell to look into matter of overtime pay and make a draft policy to present to personnel.
I think it was second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you did, I'm sorry.
By Phil's reaction, I wasn't sure if he.
Oh, okay.
Call the roll, please.
Dornick,
Yes.
Schley.
Yes.
Steiner.
Yes.
Rath.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 10, adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, Parent 1, Parent C. Considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction, or exercises responsibility /A, consider hiring utility accounting personnel and advertising. B, consider hiring interim utility manager and advertising. C, consider hiring linemen and advertising. May convene into open session for possible action. As far as inclusive in the motion, anyone in the current council not want to be included in the closed session?
It'll come to the council anyway.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll include in the motion Attorney Dunleavy, Mandy, Peggy. See if I don't think you need to. We'll exclude the fire chief then, and Chief Larger, you probably got other things to do as well. I'm sorry, what?
So, Brian?
Oh, Brian, would you be willing to sit in, please? Thank you for noticing that. And is Chuck floating around yet, or have we chased him off? All right. That stands as the motion then. Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Schley.
Yes.
Steiner.
Yes.
Rath.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Dornick.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll adjourn.